increases diseases. I'm going to talk about what frightens me most, what it means for our food supply. It's easy to forget when we buy our food from supermarkets that it comes from a field somewhere. Anyone who's tried to grow their own food knows how dependent crops are on the weather. Climate change is destroying crops with heat waves, droughts, wildfires, floods, strong winds, and sea level rise, which contaminates the soil with salt water. Major food producing regions around the world are already experiencing these impacts. Prolonged droughts have affected the breadbaskets of the USA, China, India, Australia. Sea level rise threatens the Mekong Delta, the major rice producer for Southeast Asia, and the Pakistan floods obliterated billions of dollars worth of crops. The risk of global simultaneous crop failure, which would push up food prices everywhere, is increasing. Although they haven't caused climate change, people in low-income countries where food is mostly grown by smallholders, largely women, are bearing the brunt. Extreme heat makes it difficult or dangerous for them to tend their crops, especially without enough drinking water, and this is driving a global rise in heat deaths and chronic kidney disease. Failing crops also drive starvation, migration and conflict. The recent drought in the Horn of Africa brought starvation to over 46 million people. It's estimated around 43,000 have died and around half of these were children. Globally, nearly half of the deaths in children under 5 are associated with undernutrition. In 2022, the New York Times reported the story of Hasiya Mohammed, who left her home in Somalia with 3 of her children after her crops failed and her goats died. As they walked across a parched landscape, her 3-year-old tugged at her robe, begging for food and water, but she had none to give him. After he died, she said, "We buried him and kept on walking." How many of you are parents? I have 3 children. I don't want to imagine what it would be like to watch them waste away and die before my eyes. It's easy to imagine that famine could never come to the UK, but we import around half of our food, mostly from regions already experiencing climate-related impacts on their crop yields. To avoid this future, we must all accept the need to change now. If we all switched to a largely plant-based diet, we could improve our health, halt deforestation, and free up around 3/4 of existing farmland for nature and reforestation. And we must do this before the wildfires get worse. We must do it while nature can still help us. And stop relying on the fantasy that new technology will fix this. These are the lies of the fossil fuel industries that have no place being validated by sponsorship of a science museum. Thank you for listening, and please do take part in our exit poll as you leave the museum.